They said there's no doubt you'll surely lose. Go ahead and sing your tune. We didn't listen, stayed right on the truth. And now we're on the right side of the news.
Good morning. Poke the Hornets Nest. I'm here. I'm Nick Gardner. I'm here with Leslie, our producer. Good morning, Leslie.
Good morning.
Today is the first day of the rest of your life. We're going to start it out with gusto. I went to a get-together with Nicolette Nyman yesterday down at the Frontier Senior Center. First time I'd ever been there. That's quite a place. And I'm sold on her. She is an independent, meaning she isn't catering to the Republicans or the Democrats. But the biggest thing I got, the takeaway I got from her, is the guy that's in there now is an atheist. He's an environmentalist. He's instrumental in taking out dams. He'd probably like to take out Shasta Dam. What was his name? It's around here somewhere. Huffman, Jared Huffman. Boy, I'll tell you, we don't want him. And as far as I'm concerned, she has a leg up on everybody, especially somebody from up in this district up in here. You know, our lines were redrawn and it went all the way down the coast to Marin, and that's where she's from. So she's got name recognition down there. She's highly thought of, I believe. And anybody up here might be a really good candidate, might be the best candidate in the race, but they're not known down there. They won't get one vote on the coast. That's my opinion. Any thoughts on that?
I think, oh man. So I think this congressional race is a complete poop show. I think what the voters need to know is you are getting 2 ballots in the mail. One of them is just for Doug LaMalfa's replacement, and that is for the partial term of James Gallagher running for Doug LaMalfa's seat.
Yes.
And that vote, I think, is the most important one because, one, Audrey Denny would be a nightmare. Mike McGuire would be a nightmare. And James Gallagher is the only person that would represent us.
What do you mean would be a nightmare? They're already a nightmare.
Right. So, I mean, they have a history of it, right? Like Audrey Denny's Trump derangement syndrome is massive, right? Like she can't do a post on social media without somehow talking about how much she hates our president. That's not somebody who's ready to be a leader. And that's not somebody who's ready. I mean, we might as well put Christian Gardner in as...
Oh, good morning, Christian.
I know, your number one viewer. So that to me is the most important. What I'm telling people for our new congressional district is you need to do your own research and you need to vote your conscience. Because I don't know that we have one slam dunk candidate. I have somebody who's coming in and they're going to do an interview. I had never heard of her until she came into the comment section on something. And I was correcting her saying, you know, okay, you're not from around here. Let me, you know, have a conversation with you. Let me explain. And I had a really good, really mature back and forth with her. And then I looked at her website and stuff and everything seems to align. My issue with the one that you're talking about is her core set values, I don't know that align, right? Right now, there's a huge push to put abortion back to the states, right? And that one, they want to it's already happened. The federal government and Congress, everything has pushed it back. It's a state decision now.
So you're not going to tell us who
and
you...
They're gonna push it back, and she will fight with the Democrats to make abortion legal all throughout the entire United States.
Robin Lataw?
No, Nyman.
Well,
whatever.
That's the one I like.
She's the one who will fight to bring abortion back as a federal thing. So that's my big issue with her. I will tell you, as of right now, Robin Lataw has my vote only because I have not done enough research on the other candidates. I will get there, and then when I put out my voter guide, I'll have who I'm voting for on there. But
there you go. My opinion is if you vote for Robin, and she might be heads and tails above Nicolette, she won't have the name recognition down in Marion County and along the coast, in my opinion, and it's a wasted vote. We need to, in my opinion, pick the person that has the most chance of getting on a ballot in November that will represent the values that we have. And you're not going to agree with everything. I mean, name me somebody you agree with everything on. The one thing I read in comments, she was on Kelly Frost's show last week, KQMS, and the comments I read, one lady said she had me until she was asked how she would vote for Trump impeachment. And she said she couldn't answer right now. So she lost her vote. Well, I asked her that yesterday, and she said, well, I'm a lawyer. How can I vote on something until I know the facts? And I thought that was a good answer. I mean, maybe they'll come up with something, and we all think he's a dirty, rotten, low-down polecat coyote and want to impeach him.
I'm telling Doug you
not.
Said that.
Well, tell him I don't care.
He's gonna think he's winning you over to the anti-Trump train.
He is kind of cute, but you know, I want an open-minded person up there. I won't agree with her on abortion. I don't agree with the government being in on abortion. I don't think it's their purview to tell us what we can do and what we can't do. That's my opinion. It's a personal choice. It's between you and God. If you don't want, and I think I mentioned before, maybe not here, maybe it was on KQMS, that I think we probably ought to legalize abortion because the only ones that want to do it is the liberals and let them thin themselves out. We're helping them propagate. You see my point there?
Yeah, well.
You don't seem too enthusiastic about it.
I see your point. My issue with it is the people who abortion is health care and want our tax dollars to pay for it, and they treat abortion as an option for bad decisions and go in with a stamp card
I absolutely
and have
agree
10
with
of
you.
them.
I absolutely agree with you. But, well, I don't think the government should have anything to do with
I don't either.
Especially financing them.
Definitely not that.
No, heck no. We could furlough Kevorkian and have him do them. I think he died, didn't he?
I don't know.
So anyway, that's where they're at. I want to bring to your attention that Wednesday, the 27th at 10 a.m., down at the Veterans Hall in Anderson, that little Chinese community south of us, Andisan, they're having a poll worker orientation. I don't believe you have to be signed up. You can sign up there. And the number to call about that is 530-515-3142. And I encourage everybody to get involved with this election to make sure that it's we don't have to make sure. We know it's going to be an honest, fair election. But we've got to get our guy in there. And I'm even encouraging the, whatever you want to call them, the left-wing extremists to get involved and go make sure it's if you think we're going to cheat, go make sure we don't. It's open. And, you know, that's one thing that Joanna Francesca lied about on Poke the Hornets Nest. She said you have to be there at the start of the election till the night when it's over and all the votes are counted. According to Patty Plum, according to Clint Curtis, you can sign up. If you've only got 3 hours, you can sign up and help. If you've only got 5 hours, you know, you can go in there and you can be a poll worker and we can get the election. That's one of the lies I caught her on. Let's see, what else did she? Oh, she wanted to go back. I found this on Shasta Anon. She wants to take our elections back to pre-2023. On the show, she said, I never said that. Well, she darn sure did. Go to ShastaAnon.com and click on Who is Joanna Francesca. No, it's Who's Afraid of Clint Curtis, and it's on that one. It's actually, I think it's the latest one out. And then when the dirt came out on Frank Treadway, that he was mixed up in something that most people don't want to get mixed up in, involving people under 19. She claimed that he wasn't on her advisor list or anything like that. Well, it seems that she paid him $1,000 for advice, and he was one of her main campaign advisors. That's just a 3. I haven't really looked too much further. I mean, how many lies do you have to have from somebody to question their integrity?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, speaking of integrity, you've got some stuff for us from the Board of Supervisors meeting.
Oh boy, this is a good one. If you're going to vote for Aaron Reisner, this is what you can expect to happen in Shasta County. Let's click on that. This is Matt Plummer.
Those individuals are, and so more to come on that over probably the next month or so. A related effort has been with the Continuum of Care, which is a group of, I think it's around 30 to 40 organizations locally that are focused on homelessness. And there, one of the things that we've started talking about is, and this might seem common sense, but it's not currently in place, which is that right now, if someone's homeless, a lot of those folks, how they get on a list to be prioritized for housing is they call 211, which is working really well as a kind of one-stop shop to get people into the system so that then they can be discussed. And so I would just flag that for the community here. If you know someone who's homeless or at risk of becoming homeless within the next 14 days, have them call 211. They'll get on a list, which then is reviewed by the community providers every week and talked about at the individual level. Where we want to go from there is that basically, depending on where someone is, if they're on the street, we have kind of a decision flow or decision tree, you could say, where it's like, okay, where are they? Are they on the street? Are they in transitional housing? What do they need next? And then what characteristics? Okay, do they have behavioral health needs? Are they a veteran? Are they a family versus a senior? So depending on all of that, which organization in the community will reach out to them, which will connect them to transitional housing, so that we have basically a menu that says, okay, based on their characteristics and what status they are currently, we can connect them to the right organization efficiently. Basically, homelessness becomes brief and rare in Shasta County. And so that's the goal where we're moving towards. And
homelessness comes brief and rare in Shasta County. Now, if you're a Aaron Reisner voter, you've got to remember that the 6 years she's been in the
City Council.
I knew that. It was coming. Homelessness has gotten worse. They've encouraged people from out of the area to come here. And this idiot is telling us that probably the answer is more money. Let's give continuum of care
Right.
and the 40 different programs to help these people get off the street is going to eliminate homeless when they're bringing more in.
Well, and not only that, but we've seen the continuum of care circus happen, right?
That's
Where
right.
the county was funding it, said this is not sustainable. We're going to not be funding it. The city of Reading took it over, said we'll be the saviors of this. They said this is not sustainable. They kicked it back. Now it's like an organization of multiple government agencies trying to fund it. It's just not functioning. It might offer good things. It might be a group that has organizations that are doing good things. But as a whole, it is not self-sustaining, and nobody wants to be the one financially supporting this continuum of care. So that should be red flag number one. Number two, just like you said, since Reisner's been there, things have gotten worse. It's like Gavin Newsom's promise to end homelessness in California in 10 years. We're on year 25. The place he started with, San Francisco, is worse than ever. And the only time it's gotten cleaned up was when he was doing an open house for China so that they would come in and spend more money and buy more of California.
And I saw an influx of out-of-town homeless into Reading when they were cleaning up San Francisco for Xi, the dictator from China.
Yeah.
So that's his idea of cleaning up San Francisco. Send them someplace else.
Right. And anybody who thinks the fix to an issue like this is more government
And money.
and money, because in government, money grows on trees. But when it comes to the people and things we actually need, no, it's not. Because, I've been taking my fight down to Sacramento. If I'm going to be advocating, if I'm going to be working, I'm going to do it where things are getting made. And I was sitting in on hearings where Sacramento is trying to anti-Trump or combat, the federal government, and they want to reallocate funds to offset what's being done with the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so what they're doing is they're pushing to extend an extra $26 million into gender-affirming care for minors.
Oh, boy.
Because the federal government says mutilating children is child abuse, and we are no longer funding it. And anybody that does fund it will not get federal government funding.
That's money taken away from the train.
Right.
The speed train.
So
if they weren't funding that, we'd probably have it running next year. Well, it's just a thought. And then he could use that money to buy more diapers.
There you go.
Did you see where BB Brain Newsom, he's buying diapers for newly mothers? It's ridiculous. I wonder how many votes he thinks that's going to garner him.
I always say, like, the people who are like, oh, he'll never become president. People can't be that stupid. The amount of people, when you post something about Gavin Newsom, that will get on there and still be like, he's a hero, he's a fighter, because Trump derangement syndrome is real. And he is standing up and pushing back. That's why, have you watched any of the the governor debates?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Every single one of the Democrats, their response is, oh, I will fight Trump. Oh, I will fight Trump. Every single one of them. That is their answer. And so this last debate, one of the questions was basically, will F Trump be your motto? And they're all like, yes, yes, it will.
Oh, boy.
It's insane. And you know what? The thing is, everybody's waking up to it. The fastest growing party in California is the Independent No Party Preference party, because people have had enough with the madness on both sides. And I say both sides because there are people on the right side who are being absolutely insane as well.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I said a while back that years ago, 4 or 5, that I disliked the Republicans as much as I disliked the Democrats. And that's what we need. The liberals that are going to be independents, they can't say that they want to be Republicans or conservatives. But getting back to Aaron, with the special tax, and boy, I'll tell you what, these taxes, anyway, Measure A, the city of Reading needed some more money, and it's going to clean up the streets and everything else. They spent $300,000 to get out-of-state people to gather the signatures they needed, and those people lied and weren't honest with us. I had an experience. I said, "What's this measure for?" "Well, do you want more firefighters? Do you want more police?" Right. And Aaron said, "Well, people just don't care about amenities like libraries or good roads, or they would have voted for this."
Well, and no, I think what it is, and this is where I think the voters need to be very, very careful, because just like Trump derangement syndrome is real, chair of the board derangement syndrome is real. People hated anything, and I'm gonna start with, Mary
Rickard.
Mary Rickard. I didn't know if I should go there. I'm going to start with Mary Rickard, okay? I will say, personally, I probably have Mary Rickard derangement syndrome. However, I will say that, we saw it clearly with Patrick Jones.
Sure.
And, the whole world on a certain side of politics hated Patrick Jones. And now there's an entire group that hates Kevin Cry. And the thing is, there's votes that have been 5-0. And Aaron Resner is running on, Kevin did this. Well, who are the other 4 votes on that? Because it wasn't just Kevin. And so she's playing off the Kevin derangement syndrome, right?
Well, I believe she's being dishonest also.
Well, 100%. Like I said, she's just omitting the fact that it was a unanimous decision to do, But she is playing off of that emotion and that energy and, the hate toward Kevin. And she's saying like, oh, well, he won't represent the people. He won't. How many times has Erin pushed for something like Measure A? How many times she took all of that COVID money for her Dutch Bros locations?
370,000 plus.
She has pushed for every single pet project of her establishment friends. She has pushed for everything that is big government. She has pushed for everything that is a tax, and she doesn't listen to the taxpayers. She pushed for the illegal land deal that was done in secret so that they could stop the rancheria.
If it was up to her, she would have gave away the Civic Center and the Posse grounds.
She's trying to.
Oh, I mean, that's not done yet.
The Civic Center, we're not done with that. Do you know how much money she gave to her friends to run that and is continuing to give to her friends to run that? And they're failing. Like, they might be doing some good things, but the amount of money that they are taking from taxpayers to sustain something they're doing, when that itself should be a sustainable venue.
If it hadn't been let run into the ground by Michael Warren and the McConnell Foundation, they didn't do any maintenance, and it was falling apart. If that hadn't happened, it would be sustainable. If they didn't have to put money in it just to keep it, if the termites quit holding hands, it'd fall down. They've got cement-eating termites now,
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that part.
But the maintenance is horrible on that. And that was done, in my opinion, on purpose so the McConnell Foundation could take it over. By the way, they're going to start going into the renowned botanical gardens, the McConnell Botanical Gardens. That was in the paper this morning. If you're not a member of Turtle Bay, it's going to cost you $10 to walk through the botanical gardens down there across from the Posse grounds. I think we should take it back by eminent domain and put some boutiques and some nice restaurants and beer bars along the river there.
Well, and I think technically it's always cost money to go through there. Just nobody was enforcing it or holding it up because it did, have the sign that, welcome to the Botanical Gardens, part of the Turtle Bay, whatever. And I think you were supposed to go pay over at the, I don't know. There's always been something to that.
They just never charged.
But they never really did. They do, now twice a year, do the walkthrough thing. They do the Garden of Lights with the lanterns, and then they do the Garden of Lights with the Christmas lights. And they charge an arm and a leg for that. It's a cool experience for you and your family. But, I mean, they are making so much money off of that.
That's right. And they're nonprofit. I doubt if they have to pay any taxes on that money they make.
Right. Well, and so the thing is Turtle Bay brings a lot to the community. The Sundial Bridge brings people in from all over because they want to come see it. But the thing is, there is so much other junk happening. And when I say Erin Resner supports her establishment friends, there is an entire class of who's who and what they want that gets done. And if you're not part of it, you don't get to, your project doesn't move through. And it is insane. And that is what bred Anselmo, because he was building his resort, and his resort was in direct competition with the Sheraton, because the Sheraton was going to be a 4-star hotel and his was going to be a 5-star resort. Two completely different classes of people.
What side was Modi on?
We all know what side Modi was on, but they are two completely different demographics. He wanted like a Tuscany villa 5-star resort where you go out there in the serenity of nothingness and do like a spa and wine tasting. And this is, right in the hub of Turtle Bay, and let's make Redding a 15-minute walkable city, and, let's try to turn it into San Francisco. come on. We saw what's happening in Chico with all of that. We do not want to be San Francisco, right?
That's right. That's
and
absolutely
so
right.
that's exactly what happened with that is they shut down everything he was doing. He moved and said, hell hath no fury, like somebody who got screwed over by the government. Let me fight that, right?
Well, you know, he came down to the Tea Party and I listened to him, and he had a very logical explanation. And as far as I'm concerned, he was 100% in the right.
He was.
He might have fudged a little here or there on the permits, but who wouldn't?
Right. Well, and when you look at the people who are like, oh, well, he affected a campaign by giving so much money to so many different... I would argue that the largest private landowner in the United States, Red Emerson, has affected his share of elections with financial contributions.
Oh, certainly, but I wonder if it's him or his offspring.
I think it's his kids.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Nobody can accumulate all... Well, I guess you could. Ted Turner did, but...
Well, I think he accumulated the wealth, and I think that they are giving it to their favorite establishment candidates.
Sure, that's right. And you see that so often. People that were born with a silver spoon in their mouth deciding that they know what's best for us, the royalty. Oh, who comes to mind like that? Anyway, I ran across this article this morning. You've probably heard it. I'll read this real quick. The U.S. intelligence community has officially opened an investigation into more than 120 U.S. taxpayer-funded biological labs operating overseas, including 40 in the Ukraine. Director of Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard says the probe is part of an effort to shut down risky gain-of-function research. The plan is to identify where these labs are, what pathogens they contain, and what research is being concluded. Gabbard accused officials connected to the Biden administration, along with figures such as Anthony Fauci, of misleading the public about the existence and scope of U.S.-backed biolabs. You know, some of that stuff just makes you ashamed to be an American.
Well, and I mean, think of that gain of function. We heard all of this, right? Anthony Fauci's had his hand in it. And Anthony Fauci did the same thing to the United States citizens that Aaron Resner's done locally. He said, oh, there's not an issue. This is not something to be concerned about. That is not going on. What? And then later goes, oh, well, maybe there's a little. Well, maybe want to look into that a little. Well, maybe. I would encourage everybody, go back and find Aaron Resner's videos. I think they've been taken down off of social media, but the internet's forever, and I'm sure you can find them. Go back and find her videos that she did with Michael Tell.
Oh, yes.
Right? Did you watch those?
Oh, I watched one of them. Oh, sure.
Oh, I watched every one of them.
Evidently, the citizens of Reading are just fine with crappy roads. They won't give us the money to fix them.
Well, she says to you that government's complicated. Not everybody can understand it. So I'm going to talk to you like you're in kindergarten so that you can understand. And I'm not even kidding, because when I told her how just insulting it was, she didn't even blink. Michael Tout didn't even... I mean, I lost so much respect for that guy during that. I won't even say man, because he is not a man of integrity. He is not a man. He is a weasel. But he and her sat there and talked to the public like we were stupid.
Little
and
kids.
Said, there is no issue. There is just somebody who is big mad, and she wants you to think there's an issue so that she could be mean to staff. But our staff puts money into buckets, and those buckets all look very different. And those buckets all they hold different amounts. And sometimes you dump the buckets into other buckets, and those buckets become these buckets. And I'm sorry.
Did they really say that?
Oh my gosh, it was just like that. It was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. When the fact of the matter is, Tanessa Audet saw there was an issue, tried to bring attention to it. They said,
They shut her down. No, you can't put your PowerPoints
to say
up
here.
there.
There's nothing to see here. And then Mike Littell knew he would look stupid, which is why he said, oh, no, you can't do your PowerPoint. No, you can't present that here. The people might put 2 and 2 together and realize I'm an idiot.
Well, Mike didn't say that. It was Jack Munns.
No, well, Jack Munns originally, yes.
That's right.
And then Mike was the new mayor when it came time to present, and he as well said,
That's a trio to draw
No.
to.
so here's the deal. We have elections coming up in November. You just put away your ballot for June 2nd. June 2nd is the most important election right now. Everybody needs to vote. Everybody needs to vote for James Gallagher for Congress because we have been unrepresented since the death of Doug LaMalfa, and we need him in there. So that is the number one thing I will tell people to do. After that, vote down ballot how you wish, but we need him to win by 50% plus 1 so we can start being represented immediately. So that is an everybody
Well,
vote.
I disagree with you. I think Clint Curtis is the most important election on the ballot. I believe that we need to worry about representing us locally because what's Gallagher going to accomplish in Congress? Well, we do have the majority. Maybe you'll kick him in the ass and he'll get moving.
Well, and the thing is, we have the majority. We could very easily lose the majority. And we are being unrepresented. And this is why I would argue. I hear what you're saying because I would make the same argument if I was sitting in your seat and say, Kevin and Chris are the most important because we cannot lose traction. And Aaron Resner would be the most damaging thing to this board if she got on. And so, I mean, there's that argument in every single thing. But here's where I sit. We have zero representation in our federal government right now because Adam Schiff doesn't represent us, right? So at the federal level, we are not represented. At the state level, you have Heather Hadwick, who has refused and missed votes over 300 times in this legislative session. Her one job is to show up and represent us. She has missed over 300 votes, which means she just has not voted. If you don't have the knowledge to vote one way or another, you're not doing your job, especially 300 times. And then you have Megan Daly, who has failed to vote, want to guess?
I'm afraid to.
Over 800 times.
As a senator or her combined state career?
No, this year.
Oh, geez.
Over 800 votes.
Well, let me ask you this. What in the hell are they voting on 800 things for? We don't need all that oversight.
We don't. But here's the thing. We need people who are going to go in there and say 2,000 plus bills a year is asinine.
That's right.
Because it is. We need people who are going to go in there. You know who's doing a good job? James Gallagher. That's why I think he's the most important. You know who else is doing a great job? David Tangipa. He's out of the Fresno area. He is standing up. Bill Asaley was standing up and speaking for all of us. He knew he was in the ultra minority and he was going to lose every vote. But you know what he did? He stepped up out on the floor and he said, shut me down if you will. This is asinine. You need to know what you're doing is wrong for this reason, this reason, this reason, and this reason. And I don't care that you're going to vote against it. I now have you on record being informed and still choosing to mess with the people of California. And he was rewarded. He's now in the 9th Circuit. He was put there by Trump. And he is there fighting for the entire state. And we don't have that representation there, but we have David Tangipa, who stepped up and is filling in and doing that. We have Carl DeMaio, who on some issues is doing that. He's got pet projects. He's one of those people that you're not going to agree with everything, but he's somewhat doing that.
Okay, let's go back to local level. What's Kevin Cry done?
What hasn't Kevin Cry done?
That's not much of an answer.
Okay. What has Kevin Cry done?
What's Kevin Cry done?
He has gone through and audited for results every single section of our government.
Has he saved us money doing that?
Absolutely. He's saved us money. He's saved the county money. He's made the county function better. And I would say not just him. It has been a joint effort. Him and Chris have both worked very hard, both with Patrick Jones and with Corky Harmon. And I would say Aaron Resner, oftentimes with Matt Plummer as well.
That's right.
So the thing is, other than Alan Long, who has the opposite of Mary Rickert derangement syndrome, he's got Mary Rickert worship syndrome, and he goes in there and votes everything she tells him to vote because he is her angry replacement.
Do you suppose she's sitting in there texting him, telling him what to ask, like Don Duckett and Susan Barrymore did with Mary?
Somebody is, because he has this look on his face. And then all of a sudden, he's got all these genius words to impart on us. So he has made Shasta County a place that is easy to do business in, that it cares about the constituents, that we are reducing taxes while making government more functional. He's holding people accountable for results. He's going through the budgets. Our budget hearings pre-Patrick Jones were like 3 hours. Now they're like an entire week. What's he done to improve
the economy around here?
Well, I mean, that's what I'm getting at.
He's got some things in the works. What are they? How about the medical school? He was one of the main drivers, he and Dr. Nuka. When everybody said the medical school's a bad idea, let's just get another Mexican restaurant and the doctors will flock in. No, we need a medical school. Now it's going to happen.
Right.
And I think, in my opinion, we can thank Kevin Cry and Dr. Danuka for making that happen, for getting everybody else on board. I went to a couple meetings with Kevin, town halls, if you want to call them, to where he talked, and this is where we're going. This is what we can do. That's going to be an economic driver.
Right. Well, and when you ask about what he's done to increase the economy of Shasta County, I didn't even think to head in that direction yet, because if you do, then you also have to look at what he's doing to try to work with the sheriff to come up with the alternative custody program and everything else. Because the fact of the matter is, a new jail, even Sheriff Johnson said, will not be built in his lifetime. Like, that is a project that's so massive, it's not going to happen right now. But we have 80% of the crime being done by 20% of the population. And if we start working on the recidivism part of it and actually getting to the root of the issues, then maybe, just maybe, we can clean up what's going on. And the fact of the matter is, the county really only has this much control over it, because the biggest outlet for crime, the biggest portion of that comes from the city of Reading. And their response is, well, let's cut funding to police because we need to give, $30,000 to the people that are running the Civic Center so that they can do, whatever, put up fences for outdoor concerts or something.
Yes, I agree with you. But, we could get a hold of crime if we just give the district attorney more money.
Oh, my.
No, really. I mean, she needs more prosecutors.
You and I are going to fight right now, Nick.
Well, I'm being sarcastic if you hadn't figured that out.
No, I did. But unlike Doug Jenke, when you say something stupid, I'm about ready to come over the table. Oh, my. Have you watched her videos on, poor me, I just need more money? Have you watched those?
She and Aaron are two peas in a pod. More money's the answer to everything. What in the hell is she going to do if she had 100 prosecutors? We don't have any place to put them, the criminals.
Well, and
what are they going to do? Go ahead.
The fact of the matter is, and I've been having this argument with so many people, her office has been failing for 10 plus years. Her office has been behind for so long. And every single time she blames it on something else, it comes in and has answers to debunk her claim, right? She did that during the budget cycle. Oh, I can't do my job because there's not enough judges. So
that's
they were
right.
like,
I recall that.
Right? And they said, okay, let's get to the bottom of this. Let's get everybody in the room. We get everybody in the room and we find out not only Do they have the same amount of judges that they've had for however long? And that is a state decided issue, not something our board has control over at all. But they actually have more than they used to, which means you are now functioning with more judges, not less. And she is filing less cases.
Well,
not
just
more.
like the case with Susan Wilson. Here you've got a confession from Susan Wilson that she did, in fact, give herself raises against the bylaws, give herself health benefits where they had never been given to a director before. They went to the old director. He said, no, I didn't get that. I didn't get sick time. She gave it to herself, and it was absolutely a violation. It was sent back to the Anderson Police Department, and they decided there wasn't, enough evidence to bring it forward when you've got a confession?
Well, they decided that there wasn't enough evidence to, without a reasonable doubt, push it forward.
That's not their judgment to call.
But even though their press release said that, and even though that is, what then got spewed by the district attorney, the case document says closed and referred for prosecution.
That's right.
So she could choose to take that to court and pursue it. Now, I've heard it argued maybe this needs to be taken to a civil court and taken that direction to where she's not the one being involved. I think somebody needs to hold her accountable.
You know what you just brought up that I recall? Civil court. When Modi was police chief, crime went down because the police wouldn't charge anybody with a crime. Every place they'd go, well, this looks like a civil matter to me. And away they'd go, and Modi would say, crime's down. I saw a gal who caught some people that she didn't know stealing boxes out of her breezeway. The police come, and these people said, no, she said she could have it. We could have it. Oh, well, there's no crime here. It's a civil matter. Mm-hmm. But I talked to Sheriff Johnson. I had 3 people who had voted, and their vote wasn't counted. And I believe it was a 2022 election. And I went over and talked to Sheriff Johnson at a meeting, and I said, well, I've got these 3 people here. Would you take these? I had more or less a declaration. It wasn't notarized. Their number was on there. Please call me. He says, I can't take that now. Once we refer it to the district attorneys, we can't add to it. So I think that goes against what the DA said as far as Susan Wilson goes.
Right.
She should either she should prosecute. She's got a and they're not going to send her to jail. Fine her.
Right. Have her pay back
Put
the
her on
organization.
probation. They could have their mobile probation unit go by and check on her once a month. Isn't that the dumbest thing you ever heard? A mobile probation unit with a nice looking gal in it. I'll bet them guys are going to be trying to get on probation just so she'll come by and visit once in a while. What do you think? Let's get back to Kevin, what he hasn't done.
What he hasn't done?
Well, no, he's done everything. What he has done and what he's in the process of doing is getting the Bonaventura Bridge built that the city of Redding's put off for 40 or 50 plus years. He has found funding that nobody else looked for.
Right. And he found federal funding, because if we had state funding, I drove past that track to Nowhere the other day, and we'd take 16 years to build. No, it's 30 years now to build a quarter mile of track. And it cost us $3,200 billion or whatever. So if it was state funding to put in a bridge, you can expect that by the year 3034. But he found federal funding, which then will make it to where we get the funding. We then get to start the implementation of it, and we get to run local control working with the federal government to actually make this happen.
Well, he actually went in a different direction. Instead of safety and fire escape, it's freight. They're all in about moving freight.
Right.
And this would be a safety matter as far as getting big trucks out of downtown Reading. And nobody looked at that. He looks at different areas instead of what everybody looks at. The city of Reading had it up to, $192 million to build that? I think Jackson Baker said it ought to be able to be built for about 40. And he's a builder, and we've got some tremendous builders in Shasta County here. It could be done if it wants to get done. I believe it will be, and that's going to create a lot of jobs.
Absolutely. And a project that size, we saw Shasta Dam created an entire community, right? So a project this size is definitely going to revitalize that downtown area. And, it's going to bring in things like TOT tax, because anybody who is out of the area that's working on this project and staying here, all of that money stays here. So I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. But
it'll be a boost.
Kevin is one of those people where if you tell him it's not going to happen, it makes him work harder, right?
I agree with you.
So I admire that about him, because it just motivates him to work harder.
He doesn't just take no for an answer. Prove it to me it's no. Yeah. And with that, we're going to have to bid you a fond farewell. We've kind of run over our time, haven't we?
I think so.
Okay, there's going to be big changes around here after the first of the year.